Is this the year Clemson returns to the top? ESPN's Greg McElroy says the Tigers are in championship mode or bust in 2025. And with Cade Klubnik entering his fourth year with an experienced roster and the new 12-team playoff, maybe, just maybe, this is Clemson's best shot in years. So do you think it's national title or failure? That's all coming up right now on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of this show now, Locked On Clemson podcast, and part-time host and producer over on 105.5 The Roar, the Clemson flagship station. If you haven't heard of me over there, maybe you've seen me over on X at The Morgan T Show, and I also do a ton of charts and things like that. You may have seen those passing charts over on X. But thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you're new to the show, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and even that little notification button so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow me, like I said, over on X, at the Morgan T Show. I talk all the time to anybody and everybody that will listen to me. So you can chat with me. If you want to talk to me, I am over there. You don't need to be able to text me because you can just X me. I don't know if that really works, but I'm going with it. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Coming up later on in today's show, we're going to talk about Clemson possibly in a battle with South Carolina for four-star safety Kentavion Polo Anderson, as they call him. And also the final segment is going to be Clemson Baseball and Softball. Baseball starts next week. Softball starts today. Are these teams championship contenders in 2025? Let's get into segment number one, and that kind of goes back into what Greg McElroy was talking about on his show with ESPN. And really, it kind of goes back, and it's on always college football. It really goes back to he feels that Clemson is in a championship or bust type situation. They're not just having high expectations, but it is extremely high expectations. It is the peak of all peak expectations. It is getting that title or nothing. Now, he points to some key factors why he feels like Clemson is going all in, if you will. So all in, is a good word for a Clemson Tiger fan. But he feels like he has a few points that he feels like Clemson will go all in for 2025. And really, when you look at 2026, a lot of those things aren't there. So the first thing is, I think you probably know where he's going with this. Where I'm going with it is Cade Klubnik enters his basically final year with the Clemson Tigers. It really is now or never for him. I think that most Clemson fans would understand that as well. And I think Cade Klubnik understands that too. It is now or never for him. He has to be able to put it all together. I've talked about this many times on the radio, on X. And I think that you also should know that he just needs to have those marquee wins. I feel like he's starting to put things together. There are certain times in 2024 where he made the correct decision where I think old Cade would have made a dumb decision and not thrown the ball away, taken a big time sack, even thrown a dumb interception. Check down when he really didn't need to check down, look down a wide receiver when he really didn't need to. A lot of those things that happen. And for Cade, to me, a lot of it's pre-snap as well. But Cade, this is his final year. He has to be able to put it all together. Can he do that? I think he is ready. I think this is the time for him to do it. But he needs those marquee wins. We talked about some of the games you have to look at for next season. If you haven't watched my previous episodes, go check those out this week. I think it's Monday and Tuesday's episode. I talk about these games that we have coming up in 2025. So Cade has to win LSU. He needs to win and get the revenge at Louisville on a Friday night game. He needs to beat Florida State, and he needs to get the win over South Carolina as well at their home. in that road game in Williams-Brice Stadium. So Cade's got the schedule that he's going to need to win those big games. 2 SEC games, a couple of ACC games that I think are going to be challenging, like Syracuse. Can you believe Syracuse was a 10-win team last season? I can't believe that. Some other points in here McElroy talks about was the offensive line. To me, I feel like the offensive line, it's great that the offensive line is returning a bunch of veterans. You don't have many question marks on the offensive line. I will say that. And where Marcus Tate's not going to be there, you're going to have Colin Sadler, which that's not really a question mark there either. As long as they can stay healthy, there's not question marks on what you have. The biggest thing for me is that is what you have. The players are who they are. I don't think they're going to get 30, 40% better, all of a sudden and become just amazing offensive linemen. Now, I could be wrong here, but I think Matt Luke is doing the best he can to maximize the talent level where they're at. But to get new talent is not going to be in 2025. So really, it is what you have. And it's not a bad offensive line. Is it back to where Clemson was in the national championship scene where you had like 4 guys out of 5 that were all ACC first team guys, first, second, third team guys? I don't know. Right now, we've just seen Blake Miller, and even I kind of have question marks about. So the offensive line definitely much improved. Still, to me, I feel like there's a ceiling there that, maybe they're just as good as they're going to be, in my opinion. That's just the way it is. Let me know if I'm completely wrong and I'm just missing it, and Matt Luke's going to just, do everything that I said he can't do. I think he can improve the team. I think he has improved the team, but sometimes it's the talent you have, right? Wide receivers no longer inexperienced. He mentions that, and I think we all agree with that. Pretty frustrating to come into week 1 against Georgia Bulldogs and not see many of the freshmen get used, not see really the freshman wide receiver used to the end of the game. Now that we have a full season with them playing, they're going to get used completely, start to finish, 2025, as long as they're healthy. Yeah, I want to see more TJ Moore. I want to see more Bryant Wesco. I want to see more. I want to see Tristan Smith for the first time. So wide receivers gelling together. Antonio Williams, Tyler Brown getting healthy. Cole Turner helping out top end where he can, and some of those guys just in the mix, just seeing how they do. I think they're going to be better. I think Cade's going to have more experience with them. They're going to get their timing down just even more than they had last season. So I do have a lot of excitement around Cade Klubnik and wide receiver and that duo. That's really, really exciting for me. And then the defense being loaded with some upperclassmen, I think that's also strong. You have your defensive line, some returners there. They bring in Will Helt, which is a guy from the transfer portal. They bring in Jeremiah Alexander, which I didn't mention in the previous show, but he's a guy that was a high school friend of Peter Woods. And, he was a 5-star linebacker, but really didn't turn out. And Clemson went after him hard in the recruiting trail when he was in high school. And he did not pick Clemson. He picked Alabama. But considering he's good friends with Peter Woods, considering he's kind of getting a blank slate, a fresh canvas to kind of paint a new history for himself, a new path for himself, I think that this would be great for him to get in there and really show maybe he shouldn't have been counted out so far. So I do like what the defense is, and especially as McElroy mentions, I think everybody's super excited about Tom Allen and him taking over the defense. As I mentioned already, having Dabo bring in guys that are head coach material or have head coach experience just takes a lot of weight off of your shoulders. They can run the team if they want to. They know how to run a team. So you don't have to teach them kind of the basics. They can take it. And man, is he not a motivator? When you saw his press conference, did you not think, wow, this guy really fits Clemson, really fits Dabo Swinney and what he's trying to do? He's got his family that live, his daughters live down here. And I know how it is being a girl dad myself. You want to be around your daughters. You want to be around your grandkids. I get it. Might be really good for Tom Allen here. And I'm excited for it because he seems like that motivational guy for Clemson. Now, are they ready to compete for a title? Is this boom or bust? Is this, pressure is on time? I kind of do see that. My big question mark is, where is the quarterback next? Does Clemson have another 5-star in the waiting? Maybe we've been thinking maybe Christopher Vizina could be the guy. Time will tell, I guess. We really don't know. It's been a while of developing Cade Klubnik to get into this role, and this is really it. They went 10-4, won the ACC, and they made it back to the college football playoffs. But it did kind of seem like they were one of the, least deserving teams, I guess you could say, to get in. They kind of squeaked their way in. They kind of got in through the back door. However you get in, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't, like, one or two losses really don't kill you in 2025, 2024. So the 12-team playoff opens that back door. But I don't want really Clemson in this situation to be that team that has to kind of sneak in. Clemson does need to kind of show that they can take 2025 and take the lead, get out front, beat LSU from the start, and be that elite quarterback, be that elite offense and defense that they have developed. This is where the fruit of the Cade Klubnik development, plan comes to fruition, and we need to see it. And if we don't see it, then that would be a big concern, because Clemson would be kind of rebuilding there unless they can land, a big time quarterback transfer. I don't really see that. Maybe not. I'm not going to go too far in the future. Let's just focus on 2025. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I crazy about this? Is it a little bit too much, pressure on this team? Or is it, this is definitely what this Clemson team has to face. They have to face this challenge. It's an uphill battle. The schedule is pretty difficult considering, and they're going to have to get back to the ACC championship game and try to get that bye. Somebody over on X mentioned to me that they'd love to see Clemson in a first-round home game in the playoffs. I would love to see that too. Obviously not a killer if you have to do that. Ohio State did that. Notre Dame did that. But so you can still get all the way to the national championship even if you have to play an extra game. And maybe, just maybe, it might be better to be in that situation depending on how they seed people. But I still maybe would lean back on having an extra week, even though, wow, Death Valley would be absolutely rocking for sure. But again, get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the YouTube and podcast so you can stay up to date on all of my Clemson content that I put out every single week. Remember, this isn't just a show about me. It's a show about you. It's your team. So get in the comments and let me know. Up next, I want to talk about that recruiting battle that is brewing in the state of South Carolina. Looking to get tickets for your next big event, whether it's a concert, a comedy show, or a sports game? Finding the right ticket at the right price can be a headache. But with Game Time Picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. With Game Time Picks, the app does all the hard work for you. It curates the best deals so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. I've been using Game Time Picks for a while now, and here's why I like it. I like the curated deals that make it super simple to find the best tickets at the best price. No more sifting through thousands of different options. They have this algorithm that gives you the best of the best. And the best part, you're covered with Game Time's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal elsewhere, they'll refund it. Get this, 110%. Frank Howard would love that. They'll refund it 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something ever comes up. Ready to make your next event even better? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, I'm getting into recruiting, getting back into it, mainly because I know y'all love it. And I kind of lost my love for it for a while because, with the NIL and just paying players, it just kind of got to a point where I'm like, this is not for me. But considering I'm starting this show back and I'm talking more about Clemson football and Clemson recruiting is a big deal, I'm going to slowly get my way back into this. And Kentavion Polo Anderson is a big-time recruit in the state of South Carolina. I've been reading up on and looking at some of his video and huddle, and it's a big battle between Clemson and South Carolina for one of the top players in the state. 4-star, kind of a mixture of I don't want to give him too much of a comparable with an Isaiah Simmons, but he definitely plays that strong safety, outside linebacker type position that you know and love from guys like that. So he has came out with the top 6 that includes Clemson, South Carolina, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, and Virginia. And if we're being honest, this is shaping up to be a classic in-state showdown between the Tigers and the Gamecocks. It seems that right now Clemson might have the edge, but when it comes down to the visits, you got to follow those visits for the recruits. He's been doing a bunch of unofficial visits, and those are going Clemson, South Carolina back and forth. So he even came, I think, previously to a Clemson, South Carolina game. And, so he seems to have some favoritism between the two within the state. Let me give you a little bit of background on who he is. 6'2", 180-pound safety from Dorman High School, one of the best defensive backs in the class of 2026. Top 150, I guess you could say, 111th overall. Maybe he could squeak into the top 100 after it's all said and done. Number 11 among safeties, number 2 in the state of South Carolina. And this is the type of player that I think Clemson does need to go after heavily. Clemson definitely needs to not forget about their home state. I know a lot of fans have mentioned that over the past about how Clemson went to South Carolina and Texas and Georgia and Florida and Virginia and Maryland, and they were doing really well in Ohio. I mean, they're definitely getting those players from there. But I can also see where some fans say, "Whoa, Dabo, whoa, wait, hold back a little bit, because don't forget about your home state." Now, South Carolina's never been known as a state to just have a massive group of top recruits. But I do think when you have the top 5 guys in the state, you definitely want to be showing a ton of interest in those guys if they fit the positions that you need. And in this case, I think they do. So Clemson officially offered him back in December, not long after he came to the Clemson South Carolina game. And then, they continued to build that relationship. Last Friday, he visited Clemson again and met defensive coordinator Tom Allen. And some of the sites mentioned that he just said it was amazing. And that I think he said on TigerNet that it was his dream school. So, wow, if it's his dream school, if it's amazing, those things kind of perk my ears up and make me feel pretty good about the possibility of Clemson landing this guy. Now, if he continues to keep coming back in unofficial visits and, with his own gas money, I mean, come on, that kind of shows too that he is super interested in being a Clemson Tiger. But how the recruiting game goes, especially now with the case of NIL and booster money and collectives and all that, the way they have it. He might have another visit coming up on March 8th on Junior Day, the Elite Junior Day. Remember I mentioned to you that Elite Junior Day was moved back, I guess, to March now. It's no longer at the end of January. I don't know if it's just this year or if it will be a continuous thing, but Clemson could still get another visit from him later on down the road. And a lot of times, if you get a guy who visits a ton unofficially and then comes to one of those days and it's just amazing because he gets, wined and dined, whatever they do there, that's just so exciting. Play some pickup basketball maybe with Dabo Swinney. I'm telling you, Dabo Swinney's pickup basketball game has been known to land a couple of big-time recruits in the past, for sure. When they realize just how good Dabo is at basketball, they're like, wow, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. Maybe he is an athlete, but we can't count out South Carolina. They have the win over Clemson right now in the rivalry game. So they have they have one of the few trophies that are in their trophy cabinet, which is the Palmetto Bowl trophy, which maybe they built that for themselves, but that is a trophy that they like to have. That might be their most prestigious trophy, and it's not even one they can even keep, depending on when they win or lose that one. But you can't count them out. He's been to Columbia a few times. He seems to he visited Columbia versus LSU, Texas A&M. He went back in January as well. That Shane Beamer is going to continue to push to get him and take that to Clemson and just show that, hey, they're beating them in recruiting battles. And they did really well for a couple of offensive linemen in the previous cycle. So Clemson's got to be careful not to develop this idea that they're losing their own state. That's not a good recruiting pitch, no matter what. No matter if you're getting all these great guys in the state of Georgia, all these other states around you, you don't want to be known as losing your own state, because really that is one of those things. If I'm going to play against South Carolina, in anything, whether it be cornhole or recruiting or football, basketball, softball, whatever it is. I want to beat them. Spelling bee, I want to beat South Carolina. And in this case, some people may say, well, the state doesn't have a ton of great guys. No. I want to get the top recruits from the state and just beat South Carolina in that avenue as well. So one thing that I think that I wrote down here is that he has mentioned that he may not even need to take an official visit before he commits. And he mentioned that he's going to, right now, tentatively, the date is May 16th, which I think, hey, if he can go to Elite Junior Day in March, maybe he can just bump that up to March, or maybe he waits till May. I don't know. Will Clemson be able to close the deal? Do you think this is one where Clemson has to close the deal? Let me know in the comments. Is this one where you'd like to see Clemson land this player? You think he's a good fit? Go check out his huddle. I'm going to recommend that everybody that watch my shows, go check out his huddle film. You're going to like it. The guy is a heat-seeking missile. I love his hip work. Man, the guy just has some smooth hips, and he is not afraid to get dirty and stop the run. I love it, love it, love it. For real, go watch it over on Huddle, his clips. Let me know in the comments too, and I would love to reply back to you. Coming up next in segment number 3, baseball is ready to make a title run. Is softball going to do the same with new stars? The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports with over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded. Prize Picks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least one or two player, or at least 2-player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Prize Picks even has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win. So pair that with one more correct pick, and boom, you're cashing out. Now, this week I was looking over at some of the odds around Saquon Barkley. To me, if you have a Saquon Barkley play with higher or lower on rushing yards, I'm going higher. Now, I'm not an expert here on NFL, but I just love Saquon Barkley. So I would say higher on him for sure. Maybe that's one that could help you out. What I love the most, fast, safe withdrawals. When I win, my cash is in my account as little as 15 minutes. Check out the promos tab to tail any of the super sweet Millie winners. Big game lineups. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of $1 million in promo funds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Clemson baseball is getting ready to start next week. Coming into 2025, they got a lot of national respect and big-time expectations. Number 11 in the preseason coaches poll, number 8 in Baseball America's rankings, and with 2 All-Americans returning, this could be a big-time year for the Tigers. The Tigers finished 44-16 last season, won the ACC Atlantic Division and the Clemson Regional before falling short of Omaha. But this year, the roster is stacked and expectations are getting even higher. Leading the way is my favorite player, junior outfielder Cam Canarella, the heart of the Clemson offense. He hit .363 the past over 2 seasons, despite battling some injuries. 2-time All-ACC selection, elite defender in the center field. Did you see that catch over the back? I mean, my goodness, over the back, into the wall, crazy. Actually, I found this out. This was a shock to me. Never played outfield before college. He was an infielder. Career numbers, .560 slugging, .440 on base percentage, 18 home runs, 107 RBIs in just 117 games. And that doesn't end there for the Tigers. They have another superstar, which you love, an Aiden Kanak, an ace on the hill, sophomore, just a sophomore. We saw him last year, freshman. Named National Freshman Pitcher of the Year in 2024, set a Clemson freshman record with 108 strikeouts, dominated with 335 ERA and a .221 opponent batting average, had 3 10-plus strikeout games, including an 8 strikeout shutout against NC State. The schedule again kicks off February 14th through the 16th in the Shriners Children College Showdown in Texas with the home opener on February 19th against Presbyterian. You got to get your tickets and go watch them. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait for Clemson. By the way, Clemson baseball, do they not have the best uniforms? I mean, come on. Who has a better college baseball uniform than the Clemson Tigers baseball team? I'll wait. So the biggest question for me is, do they have what it takes? And for you, do they have what it takes to make a postseason run? I definitely think so. I love where things are going with Eric Bakich. I think that he's a great coach. And I actually, I like to coach softball for my daughter. And I used one of his quotes when he came on the Mickey Plyler show on 105.5 The Roar, where he was talking about how, how much pressure, what does he do during the game? How much pressure does he put on his guys in the game? How much coaching does he do in the game? And he mentioned that really when it comes to his leadership style, he doesn't really coach a ton in the game, if at all. He feels like, and this is his philosophy, and if you coach any kind of youth or league or whatever it may be, I want you to use this too. He said, when you're at home, that's when the parents shine. When you're at practice, that's when the coaches shine. And when you're in the game, that's when it's time for the player to shine. And I try to use that as my motivation and my motto as I go through my coaching time, doing little leagues and 10 and under softball with my daughter, is make sure that, hey, you do the best you can in practice. You really get these guys and girls as good as you can and get the fundamentals as sound as possible, with the moms and dads helping in the outside and, at home. And obviously in the college age, I guess moms and dads are probably just enjoying the games now at this point. But when it comes to the game, let the players flourish and shine and see how they can do. It's not so much about the coach, but it's about the development and preparation that you've done. And honestly, when you see that, when you hear that kind of stuff, you know that if anything, the Tigers are going to be prepared for this upcoming season. So I'm excited for it. I hope you are too. Do you think, let me know in the comments, do you think they're going to make a postseason run? Can they get over that hump and actually get to Omaha? Can they get back to Omaha? It's been a long time since they've been there, and I know they have it on the back of their hat, but can they do it? And then also, I don't want to end the show before we talk about Clemson softball. Is this a good year for them? Is this their year to where maybe they can get into the postseason again? Clemson baseball, obviously, I think poised for a big year. Clemson softball, on the other hand, they got a lot of new faces, and they're going to have to face a lot of challenges. No more Valerie Cagle, no more Mackenzie Clark. And, so they're going to have to lean on their superstar second baseman in Maddie Moore, who was ranked as the number 2 second baseman in the country by D1 softball. She hit .368 last season, tied the team with getting on base and getting 29 walks. She'd worked deep into the count, and she's also really good at shagging balls over at second base, just dives all out. And she said, she originally came in, they had her at shortstop, they moved her to the third base. Now she's kind of fit as a leader at second base. And they brought in the transfer portal, Alex Brown from North Carolina. She's going to be kind of a veteran, and Brooke McCubbin on the mound is going to have to, or in the circle rather, is going to have to show what she can do as one of the starting pitchers now that they don't have Millie Thompson anymore either. A lot of change in the Clemson softball team. A lot of optimism to see what they can do in 2025. It's going to be a challenge for sure. A lot of these new faces are going to have to step up and see what they can do. Reese Basinger came in from Winthrop, and I saw her in person, and she almost just dominated the Clemson lineup with her pitching. She also is kind of that Valerie Cagle that can pitch and also hit really well as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing Reese in action. Hopefully you two as well, because, well, not right now, but they're going to be in Florida for the first start of the season. They're playing this morning, actually, later on this morning against Ole Miss, and then this afternoon as well. Let me know what you think about Clemson softball, because can they rebound? Is this a team that can reset after losing so many superstars that you've had over all these years? I'm curious to think what you think. I'm going to be following them because, again, I'm a big softball fan because of my daughter, and really it's super exciting to go out there, whether you're sitting on the hill or behind the plate. Really, really fun. If you have young ones that like softball, young girls like I have my daughter. After the game, a lot of times, especially after some of the practices and stuff, you can go get autographs and things. So it's really, really cool fan environment over there at the softball field. Hey, that's it for this show. Drop in your comments about the topics that we had, and make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel, and follow me over on X at The Morgan T Show. Hey, thank you for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On ACC podcast. Alex Dono, Kenton Gibbs keep it real and bring you the truth about your favorite ACC team standings in the conference. Find Locked On ACC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.